But my favorite is going to be the one with the cheesy picks, as we were talking about it in the analyst desk on the pre-show. We've got AP mages on the bot lane that we're looking forward to see. Swain, Lillia, all of mid even, stated by the ref. So let's see if we are going to have any of those, as here comes the drafts.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that taking a little bit of a dance there, I see. So I believe that in the previous game, Koi actually ran a Vi jungle, which is something you don't see super often. So definitely a little bit of spice, especially in comparison to what Mad ran with the Nocturne. But Nocturne not going to be there. Koi saw it and we're like, okay, we're not going to play against that. Paranoia, too annoying. So we're not going to see that Nocturne in this game. Now, other bans have come through. Fidgets also opting to take out Ahri and Vex. A lot of focus towards that mid lane. Don't want things to get out of control, get those resets. A lot of those mechanics, reset mechanics, are super, super difficult to play against in a team fight situation. But so far, Koi...
And setting up team fights as well, right?
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is something very important to see through Vex and through Ahri, because we know that Koi's mid laner is extremely impactful on the map and extremely impactful in the game. So taking away any kind of a champion that can really try to, let's say, build up or set up any fight through the charm, through the fear. I feel like it is very important for Fidgets to just have this sort of control on the map and those team fights to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because of like how those champions can navigate fights with their resets, with their mobility. And as far as the bans have gone, Mad Fidgets also taking out an incredibly strong split pusher in terms of that Fiora. But so far, Koi, with their own bans, taking away a lot of hard forcing champions, a lot of assassins through that Nocturne, through that Akali. Now Volibear also off the table. I think one thing that is still available that we've seen throughout the entire tournament, not something that Mad Fidgets has really utilized, is a Viego. It's still available as a pick overall.
There's also Leeson, Jarvan, Grave, right? There's a lot of champions that can set up the early game.
Absolutely. So a lot of options. But with that being said, you can only opt in for one of those picks. So I wonder here if Fidgets will ultimately end up going towards something like the Wukong, which is like what they've been leaning on for a good while. But looks like they're playing out what they want to do for that first pick. But otherwise, there's just been so much focus towards how to get a fight started and how to navigate those fights, from both of those teams, and reflected in these bans. So I feel like so much of the focus, as far as those final compositions go, is going to be about how can each team dictate the pace of the game and set the tone to play exactly the game that they want to get done.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And I also really want to see Koi to try to target the top side of Mad Fidgets, because we've seen how impactful it is. We've seen that it can really elevate Mad Fidgets' gameplay all around the map. Even talking about, in the previous game, we have seen a lot of gold funneled into Jhin, but how was it done? The fact that it was actually done through the top side, I think speaks a lot to the team play style coming from Mad Fidgets.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we identified that Fidgets are just, very well versed at doing. Identifying what they need to play around, who they need to play around, and give that gold. And overall, it's worked out pretty well for them. I really do have to say, in situations where it feels like they're behind, they know what they need to do. And when they are ahead, they know when they can force and when they can take a fight. But they do drop things here and there, right? The game in the previous game did get stalled out a fair bit. Hey! And there are those first phase picks, as we can finally see them. Vayne,
speaking about target bans, by the way, speaking about the target bans, here comes Shen, the one that we have been talking about a lot and saw a lot, now banned out. But yes, Lulu and Vayne, I am actually super interested to see how this is going to play out for Mad Fidgets.
Yeah, I mean, so taking a look at that pick phase, right? Lulu was, B1'd. I can kind of understand that. Lulu is just a supremely annoying support to play into because there's so many things that she can pull off. I don't know how many times I've heard someone rage at getting polymorphed after they go in, they're like, why does this targeted silence exist in the game? And you know, Lulu is just that that champion that can facilitate your teammates in incredibly like strong manner.
Knockup as well,
Yeah.
right? It's a very good combination with Wukong because there's 3 knockups now. There is first Cyclone, second Cyclone, and then the Wild Growth.
Yeah, I mean, Lulu can really facilitate champions like that. But the response, as you mentioned, you know, another strong early game jungler, that Jarvan, that Koi locked in, but also the Samira. And the reason I want to talk about that is that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Banana.
Thank you for the 20 euros donating for a very good cause. Ladies and gentlemen, we actually managed to gather 731 euro. This is amazing. You are amazing. Your voice matters. So thank you very much.
Yeah. But to finish the thought, right?
Yep.
Koi picked Samira in their first phase picking, and you know, a champion that a lot of people have said that Samira doesn't like to play against is the Vayne. Because if Samira tries to jump in on Vayne, she can just get instantly condemned back or condemned into a wall, and you're punished for playing aggressively, which is what Samira wants to do. Also, there's Lulu, who can just polymorph the Samira, provided that Samira hasn't used her Blade Whirl, because Lulu's polymorph. Yeah, and also, like you said, the double knockup. There's so many things that kind of shut Samira down.
I mean, Rell right now, right? So there's a good synergy in the knockup, then the immediate pull in, basically, by the Samira. So you can see the world where it works.
Yes, absolutely. Like, there's definitely a lot of things that can work around this Samira pick. Vayne also a decent response to the Jarvan, creating the Cataclysm. You can just condemn him into his own wall. Feels really good to just shut a Jarvan down like that. But we are into, you know, finalizing these compositions here. Once again, Fidgets get the Lissandra that they have leaned on quite heavily. But speaking of the best of one spice picks, with the Shen not being available, Fidgets have turned to the Gragas, which is something you don't see, you know, on your typical day. But Koi, not to be outdone, opting for what looks like a top lane Lillia in response.
Might be actually a flex from Jarvan. It might be a top lane Jarvan. I wouldn't be, you know, too much surprised to see. I think both of the champions can really go to the top lane, especially Lillia with bruiser-ish and tank-ish build.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like both of those champions can definitely be flexed around in those positions. Technically, also the Wukong and the Gragas can also be flexed around, although I haven't seen a Gragas jungle in quite a while, that being said. So both of these teams seem to have a fair bit of flexibility with what they want to do. Koi, they do have a bit of a wombo, right? When you think about Lillia can set things up with her own sleep, but even factoring out the Lillia, you have Orianna, J4 or Orianna Rell, get that command shockwave in with that Cataclysm.
Or potentially so big. Magnet Storm into... if you go with a Magnet Storm into the Shockwave, into the Cataclysm, and then, you know, to top it off everything with a Q from Lillia going into the Lullaby, that can be such a devastating combo to every bit of Mad Fidgets.
Yeah, I mean, it like that combo from Koi seems incredibly deadly in a team fight situation, like onto, you know, 3 or more targets. Like, you can just hard win a fight off of that. But with that being said, we have already identified that Fidgets has a way to lock down primary targets and has a way to punish the Samira at the very least for going in, as well as the Jarvan if they overcommit. So I really feel like it's a bit of a game of chicken between both of these teams. Who blinks first, who flinches, because if you make that critical mistake, then you can just lose that entire game off of a single team fight.
We are going to go on a very short break and come back with the finals of Master Funds. Will Mad Fidgets stay undefeated on the Summoner's Rift? Technical difficulties do not count. Or Koi will have another hard-fought victory. But before we do that, really quickly, based on the drafts, I want your prediction right now.
Well, I do gotta say, I like that Mad Fidgets have been starting from that lower bracket. I really like what I've seen in terms of their flexibility. And I once again, I like the fact that their comp kind of reflects that. Like, yes, you have Vayne for scaling, but you have a variety of ways to answer exactly what Koi wants to get done, because they want to jump in on you. but you have Gragas ult, you have Lulu, Wukong, so many knockups, so much CC. So I'm really favoring towards Mad Fidgets for this one, and I'd like to see them win that final and remain undefeated.
Welcome to the Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to head into the finals of Master Funds, proudly supporting Doctors Without Borders. Mad Fidgets against Koi. True by my side. Welcome.
As you said, Brilman, this is the final. Both of these teams have scrapped and fought every step of the way to be here. But we are here in that final now, and we have the opportunity to see what everyone has set up as their runes, as their first early buys and the items. Lissandra has Aftershock, which is really understandable. Gragas opting in for the Faith Rush, and as you called it, Brilman, the flex is there. That is a J4 in the top lane for the side of Koi. So there's a lot to see, a lot to experience. I've not seen a top lane Jarvan in an even longer time than I have seen a top lane Gragas.
But it is Ornntega, right? So you really have to put that in mind, that he really knows how to play his, I would say, a lot of matchups in the top lane. We have seen him to be one of the most skillful top laners. So I really think that right now, this matchup on the top side, and just in general, the Mad Fidgets, let's say, forte that they had, which is their top side gameplay, is now going to be put into a very decent test. Thanks to the Jarvan the Fourth, thanks to Ornntega, and thanks to Vixie.
Yeah, absolutely. And, both of us were taking a look at what is going to happen in that top side of the map for both of these teams. Selfmade using that crash down, that's actually something that you always have to be mindful of, right? When Rell finally uses her crash down at the level 1, because now she has access to that remount up into the stun like flash combo. So if bot lane for Koi can get that early level 2, they can super hard force onto this Vayne Lulu. There won't be any polymorph, there won't be a condemn, but it looks like the bot lane of Mad Fidgets, they're the one who hit that early level 2. Oh, that damage! Oh my lord!
No way that's supposed to be legal. Self-made catalan flash us away. What a performance!
Yeah, and that wasn't even a single summoner used between Solemn and Raaiinbow. That was just their pure damage. They hit that early level 2 and they forced that fight, get the kill on the Samira, and that feels great. If you are Fidgets, once again, being in that high stress situation, you never want to be the team that makes the first mistake. And Fidgets, they definitely didn't make it this time.
I am absolutely speechless with this level 1 play, or level 2 rather. But what am I thinking right now, how much ahead that puts Mad Fidgets in this particular situation. We're going to come back to the top lane matter as soon as possible, as Ornntega is now dropping the ward at the top side jungle of the Mad Fidgets, but I really want to talk about that bot lane now. So the kill went to Lulu, which is not ideal, but the first blood has been secured. And now it feels like this is going to go, especially with the pickup of the dagger for the attack speed, right? I feel like this is going to put the bot lane of Mad Fidgets so much ahead, especially in the matchup that we have been talking about.
Yeah, especially because, you can see that Selfmade Catalan had to use that flash defensively, right? So now that instant burst of aggression isn't quite going to be there. You have to use the Hex Flash in the hopes to get it done. And there's just that little bit of delay, which Vayne and Lulu can finally react to, hitting that level 2, going to be getting towards that level 3. So they have so much agency set up for themselves in that bot lane with those additional stats, as you said, but also with, their levels in now. It's really, really hard for Koi to execute without any additional help from jungle.
And now, looking actually at the jungle, so we've got next Vetheø again on Wukong. He has been performing really, really well. We've seen that in the previous games of Mad Fidgets, but I'm looking at this Lillia, fantastically actually highlighted by the observers as I was just speaking about it, and just in this exact second we've over Lillia. I just love that. But I feel like it is going to be a very interesting coordination between the teams and between the jungle matchup as well. right? Because how this is going to play out, what is your point of pressure, especially for you as Lillia? Do you now go and try to gank to the bot lane? Do you wait until you get your lullaby? How do you actually do that?
Yeah, I mean, when you're Lillia in this situation, I think the other thing that you always think about when you're playing jungle is, you know, what setup do my lanes have? Like, where can I play around? And Vetheø spots this out. I'm actually not sure if there's much he can do about it, though.
No, he can't, because that's Lillia. She's going to take everything that you think that is rightfully yours, but apparently it's rightfully Lillia's. And I feel like it puts Vetheø in this very bad position, sort of balancing now between who's in the lead and who's on the back foot, let's put it this way.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to that, unfortunately for Vetheø, he couldn't even rely on Lissandra to come in and help, because Lissandra went completely out of mana at the very moment that Lillia gets spotted on the Raptor camp. But because they know where Lillia is and because they have a stronger bot lane, Fidgets are able to get that early dragon stacked up for themselves. So it's Ocean. I'm not quite sure what the next one is going to be, but nice to have that little bit of sustain early on. Oh, Hextech. Thank you, servers. But yeah, like, headed forward from there, I do agree with you. Like, Vetheø probably is going to get a little bit choked out in this jungle. You can already see, you know, down 14 CS so far. And when you think about what lanes have set up for both teams, theoretically, the bot lane for Koi can start something off, especially because that Lilting Lullaby is now available for Vixie. But on the other hand, for Wukong, you do have setup potentially in your mid, in your top lane as well, but you can also be a strong counter ganking force in the bot lane. So there are those degrees of flexibility available for Mad Fidgets. But, you know, taking a really quick look, an inventory of the solo laners here. Once again, Mad Fidgets, their solo laners are going down in a deficit.
Yeah, this is something that I really wanted to mention as you were making your point, because we have this bot lane of Mad Fidgets who is now in control of the game. Not surprisingly, but let's say a little bit uncharacteristically, because we're used to think about Mad Fidgets as the very strong topside team. But every single person on the topside team is now actually in quite heavy deficit looking at the CS.
Yeah, and you can see that that translates to, you know, about a 300 gold deficit for every single member of that top side of the map between, you know, top, jungle, and mid. And thank you for pointing this out, Observer. And it's just so difficult to, like, be in that spot, because you can just press tab, you know, when you're in game and you see that you're at a deficit. You're kind of annoyed by it, but this is also a spot that we have seen Mad Fidgets play at before, and they eventually found their opportunity through a team fight to start getting a lead for themselves. But one thing I also really have to compliment Ornntega on is the vision setup that they have been putting down so far, right? Constant wards into the enemy jungle or warding into the enemy river feels really good, gives you that strong degree of flexibility, and you can coordinate with Vixie to just completely own this side of the map. And yeah, they're just going to start up the Rift Herald pretty much uncontested at this point.
And I feel like this is exactly what we haven't been talking about while in the drafts. So we have been speaking about Mad Fidgets' strength. I feel like this is exactly what Koi is now working with and trying to turn it into the Mad Fidgets' weakness, because they have all the control they need at the top side of the map. Now, Mad Fidgets need to try to execute the same idea they did in the previous game and try to contest that Herald. Can they do this? No, Ornntega secures it, but I feel like they actually might have to drop it, as Ornntega flashes up the wall. Lancer with a very good explosive cask finds at least one target, but Vetheø got interrupted by the very good shockwave coming from Fackstard. But it seems like nobody's going to take that Herald.
Oh, wait. No, Orntega's... Okay. He's on a blast plan. He almost wanted it. If he had flash, I think he goes for it.
Yeah, but he wasted it already, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately for him. So, Rift Herald got taken, but it didn't get secured, which is a pretty rare occurrence overall. So good read on Fidgets to make sure that gets denied.
But doesn't actually use this. Seems like Ornntega. Yeah, he wants a little bit of that revenge, but Lancer manages to get out, also sustaining himself with the Gragas heal from the passive.
But one thing that is a radical critical loss for Fidgets off of, you know, denying that Rift Herald, it does mean that their bot lane slightly down on XP now, and they're not going to be able to, or they didn't have as much. Oh,
Yeah, final moment has been used. The Magnet Storm is going to use 2. That's a very good knock-in coming from everyone. Lullaby hits 3 next. Vetheø takes the first kill, but it's going to be instantly traded. Now selfmade Catalan tries to get away, but the Hunter takes its prey. Another kill going to Solemn, and a 2-for-1 exchange going to the favor of Mad Fidgets.
Yeah, and that's what you called out in the, like, headed into this game, right? The ability and power of Wukong being able to disrupt what the Samira wants to get done. And as the fight breaks out here, there's no seed that lands on, so there's no Lillia stacks there. And by the time the Lullaby finally comes out, Samira just goes down, so they're not able to get any sort of resets. They're not able to get all that damage through, and that meant that Fidgets had the opportunity to just kill the bot lane, even though they lose Raaiinbow for it. So it's a positive play for them on that end.
But I also feel like it gives Koi a little bit of good. Ooh, in the meantime, Estrefo throws himself onto Solemn. That's a lot of damage. Flashes have been used. Condemned is going to be used onto Samira, but she's going to heal himself up from the minions. Wild Growth is going to be used onto selfmade Catalan, and it seems like he's going to be the beating punch back here for Solemn, as he's going to slowly but surely take the second kill into his hands and build himself up nicely in this game.
Yeah, and if you noticed, Solemn was dancing around that AoE from, like, between Samira and Rell, meaning that selfmade could never get the lockdown, but this looks like a gank in the top lane.
Exactly, hold that thought, my friend. Amancio will take a double knockup, just from Lancer. Beautifully outplayed as he gets away with the Misfits beer.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's why it's so difficult to play against the Gragas, right? Because a lot of people know, oh, you can just body slam Cask in and disrupt the enemy team. But Cask is also this incredibly strong disengage tool. So when Jarvan and when Lillia try to jump in on you, you just Cask yourself, you stay alive. Yes, Lancer is at a 40 CS deficit, but staying alive there is critical because you don't lose any additional plates, you don't lose any additional XP. Really well done on the Gragas' part, but Vixie now here in this bottom lane.
Yeah, looks like there's going to be another fight going on to Airborne. Magnet Storm really beautifully now done by this, but that's the trade-off. Kills the Vayne is not so easily done. Double knock-up coming in there. The Lullaby comes in too, and it seems like right now you can actually go onto Vetheø. He's going to use the cycle in again, tries to flash away. 2 steps down the W, but you cannot run away from the Lillia. Takes the triple kill. 4-0 right now is Vixie.
Yeah, Blooming Blows gives so much movement speed. Next VTO couldn't hope to get away from that situation. It was really good on Solemn's part to be able to just get 1 kill in return, but this Lillia is getting so much gold in her pocket. The Observer's taking over, like, checking the gold for us just now, and you can see this Lillia, 1,500 gold over the Wukong, and that's just a massive amount of gold because it's not just the kills, it's the farm too, and Lillia can completely dominate a fight. It's a 1v1 in the top lane.
Yeah, you might have to hold that thought, my friend, but Lancer, he actually comes in into some reinforcements, and Vetheø might be joining the fight, but they decide not to go and fight Ornntega. But this is something I really want to talk about, right? So we have seen Solemn just explode in this game. He's 3-1-2, already sits on Immortal Shieldbow on a 13 minute of this game. And in the meantime, what has been very nicely done by the Fan Misfits organization over here is that they have shut down potentially the carry of Koi. We've seen absolutely destroying performance from Ornntega on Camille, and I feel like it's very important to do this now too, right? To shut down Ornntega, not let him carry the game. But in the same time, Ornntega still feels extremely comfortable as we see him yet again going for those very aggressive trades. And in the same time, there's a 4-0 Lillia, so you really have to... I'm not sure what is happening here. The explosive can't be used. Cataclysm too. I was speaking. I'm not sure, but I feel like that's a smoke kill. Goldrinker, flash forward. Oh my god, he cannot survive this. No way. No way. Corruption potion. How do you do that? This is illegal.
That is Goredrinker being used right there at the very end. Lancer really thought he had the opportunity to just get the kill off of, you know, using his cask in, getting the body slam down, and Ornntega, by the skin of his teeth, is able to survive, uses that Goredrinker at the very last possible second, gets the health back, and surprises Lancer. And granted, he had to... the J4 had to flash for it, right, to get that final auto in, but immaculately done by Ornntega in that particular spot. Very well done on that Jarvan.
This is why you gotta love every single finals you're going into any tournament, because anything, absolutely the most amazing stuff can happen when you're going into the finals, as we are right now. Master Fans finals, miracle run from Mad Fidgets, hot-fought victories from Koi. This is already looking to be as one of the best games of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, attention down into this bottom lane, because the thing is, for as far as Catalan and Estrefo have, fallen, they are still willing to go in order to give Vixie the opportunity to get more kills, get more gold into that Lillia's pocket, because we're just seeing progressively how strong that champion can be. Stacking up, already has that Rift Maker, but in this 2v2, man, it is hard to play.
Actually, final arrow being used. That's a stun coming from the Condemned, but it looks like Immortal Shield bow is going to save Estrefo here. Vetheø coming, yes, he is flanking them. Teleport being used immediately by the Gragas. Looks like there's going to be a little bit more of reinforcements. Vixie realizing that, retreating as fast as he can, running for the hills, but here flash over the wall to secure your life. He gets away, but barely.
Yeah, I mean, Mad Fidgets investing a lot of resources and attention in order to make sure Solemn stays alive, stays healthy.
Ooh,
but this is
flash forward explosion. Cox, yes, being used as well. Catalan gets over the wall. In the meantime, we have fight pretty much everywhere in this bottom lane. Solemn tanking the turret, taking so much damage. In the meantime, Lissandra taking away self-made Catalan. First turret in the meantime being taken down by Ornntega. And it is a beautiful answer coming from Koi as Mad Fidgets overinvest into this bottom lane, go for a dive, and actually lose the first turret, therefore having almost now even a 2k deficit in gold.
Yeah, I mean, Fidgets invested so many resources to make sure Solemn stayed alive and stayed safe that just meant that Ornntega and Fackstard were able to just push in, get those 2 turrets for themselves. Yes, the TP was even available on the J4, but this actually might be a fight around the dragon.
Might be, as we have a lot of people coming in here too. 4-on-4 as we go. Polymorph is going to secure this dragon. Blue team takes it. Meantime, that's a Condemn coming onto Ornntega. It's a big cataclysm potentially coming, and it is onto Solemn. Vayne is no more. So is next Vetheø. Lissandra is next on the menu, taken down by Samira. Lulu's running for her life, but you cannot outrun one of the fastest people on the Summoner's Rift, or the... I'm not sure what is the race here, to be honest. Unstoppable right now is this Lillia, as the dragon is there. Soul point for Mad Fidgets is 2, but it's 4 men down and 3 bounties on the heads of Koi.
Yeah, I mean, 4 men down, 4k gold deficit. It's so difficult for Fidgets to be in this spot because they pretty much just threw everything they had in order to go up to an early soul point. And mind you, having a Mountain Soul super early on will feel pretty darn good, headed into, that mid to late game phase, right? But the problem is, you also don't want to be giving up too much when you're investing into something. And we even saw that in that bottom lane earlier, right? Mad Fidgets threw everything they had into bottom lane. They gave up 2 turrets for it. This time, they, give up 3-4 kills in order to secure soul point. And granted, while it's great to go up to that, now you still have to secure soul when the enemy team is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And as you said, Brillman, 3 bounties on the side of Koi, and it's in that top side, that thing that we said what might even neutralize what Mad Fidgets wanted to do, and it certainly seems like they're capable of doing it.
And do you think, because I'm not sure when I'm asking this question how right I am, but True, I really wanted to have your take on this. Do you think that right now Koi is leading with the 5k gold because of their resilience in terms of nerves? Because I feel like Mad Fidgets are getting nervous while Koi showing their stability coming into this game.
I think that's an absolutely right take, especially when you factor in that Koi were the ones who made that first mistake. Oh, shockwave. Koi were the ones who made that first mistake. and their bot lane was getting hammered, right? Like, how many times has anyone been in the solo queue game where they see one part of their map losing and they just start tilting because they know that like they're losing somewhere and it just annoys the heck out of you? But Koi, to their credit, like you said, resilience, like mental, like super strong, and their bot lane is like, okay, we're behind, which means we'll facilitate this Lillia, we'll get her those kills and get the Lillia strong, and we'll win through that. And now it's really starting to activate for Koi, and as well as that top lane outplay that was really, really well done by Ornntega. And it's just stacking up against Mad Fidgets at this point. And you know, they've had a lot of games today, and they've been at deficits before, but this time it really feels like they're starting to get choked out.
And it really matters the most as this Cyclone going to be used. Ornntega, with amazing reflexes, gets out.
And I also think, you know, one thing that's really nice to point out here for Ornntega is having the Frozen Heart second item completed. Whoa, wait, one man
been used, yeah. In the meantime, Lissandra throws himself into the device, Shockwave and the Cataclysm, but he goes golden. Skosk is just beautiful here as Vetheø throws himself into the fight. Solemn, under the wild growth, manages to tear apart through that rail. Ornntega throws himself one more time because there's so many juicy targets. Busy tries to secure it, but tanks 2 turret shots instead. Misfits fans are standing strong as Estrefo slowly makes his way here. Maybe he's going to be able to pick up some more kills. Misfits are with their backs against the turret. There's a lot of resources that they have wasted. So did Koi, though. Solemn now is full HP, doesn't have the final hour. In the meantime, he's going to be spotted. Ornntega, they decide to let him go as next Vetheø just stands here and decides to farm his chickens.
I think the thing is they didn't really remember how much health and mana that Ornntega still had. So they're like, you know what, just let him reset. We don't really want to take a fight because we know that how low we are in these situations. So they're like, okay, just let the Jarvan reset. We can't really take this fight anymore. We can't really drag things out because they have to get ready for this dragon that's spawning in just under 30 seconds. And now Solemn is backing, which means that it's really going to be Koi who have the ability to set up around this pit and establish vision control.
This is not going to be the soul, at the very least, based on this setup for Koi, but they can deny the soul for Mad Fidgets, which is really important at this point. You don't want let Mad Fidgets to prolong the game because Lissandra is going to go...
to Baron?
Based on the pinks, I think so. I'm going to drop that thought there completely because the Mountain Drake has been started, but it seems like Koi recognizes this. I think they do. Yes, they drop the blue trinket. They see that the Baron has been started. The rest of Koi slowly get their way here. Lillia is still doing this Mountain Drake, and the Baron is going down relatively quickly, I might add.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Vayne that's fed. Solemn is able to just DPS the Baron down. There's the fight.
Yeah, going onto Raaiinbow. The Wild Growth is going to be used. Flash away. Lance in the meantime, throwing himself into this fight. Here comes Lissandra too. That's the first kill. A very good knock-up coming in there, but that's a double, triple, even. Looks like it was a back call. Almost a pentakill, but stolen by Estrefo. Thanks for the leash, say Koi, as they take the Baron and hopes to win from Mad Fidgets.
Yeah, Mad Fidgets, they knew that Koi would go on to the dragon to deny it, and they thought, okay, Vayne's pretty fed. We have a Lulu. We can get this DPS going. But the moment that Koi sussed this out, Fidgets need to just back off. They need to just take the L because this is exactly what's going to happen when you are at the deficit and the base is getting shoved in.
I think we might actually see them trying to go for the final push, but they no.
That's timers.
Well, yeah, the timers. I got super excited here for a second, to be honest.
I mean, it would have been a really hype call to make, you know, just like shove it into the base end as fast as possible. But Koi do play it slow. Fidgets now at a substantial deficit, 10k. Pretty sure this is like the biggest deficit we've seen Fidgets fight from this entire tournament. And something that's really relevant at this point, right? The Samira able to get gold into the inventory now. 2 items, both lifesteal oriented, working towards what looks like merc treads. So Estrefo is acutely aware of what their role is in this game. It's just to survive, have your ultimate available, and, you know, do damage in a fight. Let the Lillia, let the Jarvan set the tone and follow up off of their engage.
I feel like we're also not giving a lot of props to Fackstard, who has been on point with the shockwaves, setting up those team fights. But what I really want to talk about is, yes, we have a very firm deficit as ekkövid is actually going to root Ornntega here, get away on his frozen path too. But I want to specifically go into knock up into Fackstard. Can they get the kill with the flash coming there too? Shockwave's going to be used to second cycler, not resulting into a kill though.
Solemn is here.
Yeah, he's here trying to get him down. Shut down, actually, in the meantime. Condemn going to throw Big Z away as Solemn is going to go to sleep, and the bot lane is going to get pushed by Koi. But really fast, before anything turns out again, I want to get to this point of, if you're Mad Fidgets, what do you do to prolong the game and to try to have your hopes to win it?
I mean, really, it's just put all the eggs into the Vayne basket, hope that Lissandra's own, damage is going to be relevant in a team fight. But Mad Fidgets are at this point where they need to hope that it's going to be a domino effect in the late game. Solemn gets a kill and the Lissandra is nearby, which summons the ice clone, and it's just, one after another, and you can play through that. But the first step of it is making sure that Vixie and Ornntega can't dictate exactly how the fight will play out, as they have been doing previously. And it's really, really hard for Fidgets to get that started off, even having the pick on Fackstard like they did earlier.
And it feels like right now it's going to be this exact moment as the Siege of Winterfell has been started. There is still 2 Baron buffs, explosive cost coming from Lancer. Fast forward with an amazing body slam too. In the meantime, Condemned, I think Ornntega there's a fight between Solemn and Ornntega as we're still going. Estrefo gets the kill. That's the kill to trade it now. On the knock-up on Estrefo, Vetheø throws himself onto Lillia, but it's not enough, but he will burn! Shut down coming there! Another kill! Another kill! Another one as Fidgets are still standing strong!
Fidgets, they needed to pull the trigger. They needed to stay alive, and they absolutely do it. Yes, the Lissandra went down, but as you can see, Ornntega engaged into the backline, used his Cataclysm, but went critically out of mana, and that gave Vetheø so much space to go into the backline, use that Cyclone. The red buff finishes off the Lillia, and that means that Solemn is able to just completely dictate the pace of the fight afterwards. Incredibly well done by Mad Fidgets to stay alive at this critical moment.
Absolutely banger it is already. I know we're not supposed to say things like that, but it is absolutely Mad Fidgets looking to secure their undefeated run from the lower bracket against Koi. No more 10,000 gold deficit. 7-3-5 with Ginsu's Wretchblade now. 15 seconds until the mountain spawns, and maybe Fidgets gets the so needed soul.
Yeah, I mean, Fidgets, they are certainly out on the map. Their inhib is still down, so they have to make sure that mid lane is shoved out. But taking the time to do that does mean that Koi can once again set up around the mountain. Fidgets, it looks like they're... Okay, wait, TP's still getting used by Lancer. They're just pushing mid.
Yeah, they are. They're dropping it to take another bounty, I think, but it means that Koi now can try to pull the trigger.
The Gragas.
Yeah, here we go. Gragas actually makes absolute incredible play. Ornntega is now isolated and brought down as the rest of Koi tries to throw himself into this fight. Get Vetheø, but now here comes the domino effect you've been talking about as clones are popping. Flash from Solemn, outplays, outstabs, takes the 2 kills. That is Vayne mechanics for you! As Fidgets looking for getting the Quadra and getting another tower.
Absolutely wild. Lancer TP'd, stayed out of vision, used that cast to make sure the entirety of Koi couldn't follow up off of Ornntega, and look at how the fight plays out. They try to get onto the Vayne, but no damage goes down, no lullaby to be had, and Solemn dominates in the fight.
Incredible performance by all the Mad Fidgets, but the game is not won yet. It is way too early to celebrate. You can take only the turret, you cannot even take the inhibitor. The Baron spawns in 3 seconds, so you may try to set this up, but Koi's death timers are already going off, so you really need to retreat.
I mean, it looks like they're not even able to get the backs off. They might get a little bit of vision down, but that's all that's going to be there. TP is available for the Lissandra, but Lancer already used it to set up that previous fight. So now Fidgets, while they can set up vision, and that is going to make Koi be a little bit scared headed in, they need to get their backs off, and that's going to allow Koi to have the breathing room to clear out vision and establish their own control.
Can they do it though? It seems like they're trying to clear as much as they can, and they're trying to set this Baron up for themselves as slowly Mad Fidgets making their way towards the top side. They know they have to try and fight it, but now it's a choke point, and it is better for Koi than it is for Fidgets.
Onto one, Vixie going in.
Flash forward! That's a very cleanse being used! That means he's still alive. That's a good knock-up. In the meantime, we have the battle pretty much going everywhere. Solemn got the down, but he brought down the Lillia. Ultimate has been used by Estrefo. In the meantime, the fight is just going pretty much everywhere. It's chaotic, but Vetheø is still standing. Here comes Lissandra. Tries to get as much as he can, but he can't. Lancer brought down to Vetheø. Tries to escape, but he's getting slowed and brought down maybe by Ornntega. Escapes on the clone, still alive, but Lissandra takes him. Raaiinbow is the only man standing. Can he actually try to defend the base against Ornntega and self-made Catalan? Here comes Amancio Ornntega, the knock-up coming there too. Here comes the Estrefo flash away from Raaiinbow. He shields himself up, but that's an ace. You have 10 seconds before you will have a Vayne here. Can you finish the game in those 10 seconds? The clock is ticking, and Koi is here. They're knocking on your base. First turret down, but here comes Solemn. He is here to try to do it. Can he do it though? Tries to zone them away, tries to go for it, manages to get on the condemn. The Nexus turret is down. Estrefo manages to get himself into safety. Another shot down comes in there. Solomon's still in the pursuit, but you can't take down Ornntega just yet. Mad Fidgets, they've lost the fight, but they haven't lost this war yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, quite critically, though, they were able to keep that turret alive. It looks like one final turret alive in the base, I believe.
No. Both of them is down.
Like, there was a slight little shadow, and I was like, did it stay alive? No. But that means that now Fidgets has their base exposed, but the Samira is dead, and it looks like Fidgets are going to force the Baron here.
But there might be actually a backdoor. Don't forget, there's 2 teleports on this side of Koi. The Baron
used time.
That's the first one. Here comes Ornntega, I believe. Yes, he is. He's been delivered. Vixie has a good angle. In the meantime, Lancer throws himself onto Fackstard. Shocker is going to be used onto 2. Here comes Ornntega on the flank. Manages to get Raaiinbow. Not exactly the target you're looking for. In the meantime, Vetheø takes so much damage onto the board. That's the first kill. Here comes the second 2 from Solemn. In the meantime, Catalan has been throwing himself into the fight, but it's not enough. That's another kill for Fidgets. Ornntega is still alive. So is Estrefo. Fidgets back away from the Baron, but they are alive from this fight. Haven't lost a person alive in this game too.
Yeah, and they know. Okay, wait. So as we get into the replay right here, you can see that Ornntega does have an angle, but once again, Vixie gets zoned off. Ornntega gets condemned back, and when they go for this fight, Vixie casts Lilting Lullaby, but Solemn hasn't taken any damage from the Lillia. So once again, the Vayne just goes wild in the fight. But now the Baron's getting started up back on the live, and it looks like Fidgets, they have the room to take this.
They are trying. The trinket will be used. So that means that Koi will have them exposed. But I think they're setting their eyes upon the Mountain Drake first. They're spotting out the Lissandra, and they know that this Baron goes over to Fidgets. Maybe we're going to see the trade of objects. Yes, I think so, as the teleport from Fackstard being used.
But ultimately, though, like, even though they get this third mountain for them, it doesn't matter too much to Mad, because their hard carry in this game is Solemn, this Vayne who does % max health true damage. So overall, while you're taking less damage from the enemy team, you're not really taking less damage from the Vayne up until you get that soul and get that additional shield on yourself. So Fidgets, they're comfortable doing this, especially because their base is exposed. They need those Baron backs in case they know, oh, hey, look, someone's off the map. We might need to get the backs in. Yeah. Like,
no, I was only agreeing with you. I'm sorry if you, because of that, you decided to cut off. But in the meantime, we might have a little bit of a fight here at the bottom side. And before we do, I would like to ask the observers to highlight the build of Solemn, because look at that. Anathema Chase, Force of Nature, Ginsu, the Wits End, and Immortal Shield Bow. That is the most bruiser-ish Vayne I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah, Voyboy would be very happy to see this Vayne with 3k health. It's so hard to take this Vayne out with any magic damage that you have. So strong against this Lillia at this point. And Solemn has to rejoin the rest of his team after making sure mid doesn't get hard shoved in. And yeah, once again, Koi looking to angle around this bottom lane. They lost the fight here the last time they did this, and looks like they're still pretty apprehensive about it.
They want to try it. You can do it. There's a top side minion wave, yes, indeed, that you can try to push in, but instead, Solemn going on for Ornntega. That might be 1-for-1, but no, Ornntega had to flash away, use his flash defensively. Without one flash, there is a very big chance. Oh, so Lullaby has been used. Maybe we're going to see a continuation. Estrefo going in with the... Oh, Cyclone has been used. Vetheø now in the fight. Takes a lot of damage, though. Has to use it one more time because won't get anything. The nerves have been taken. Solemn now with the final hour tries to get as much as he can, but there's no Lullaby. Explosive Glance is only gonna send your opponents flying away from you, not towards you. Vetheø throwing himself in the fight. Ornntega too. That's the Cataclysm he used, and immediately going golden. In the meantime, yes, Vixie has been brought down. Almost Raaiinbow will be killed, but Solemn is still alive. In the meantime, you take Lissandra, but it seems like Koi will not be able to take that fight in their hands as Lillia runs for her base. Once again, Mad Fidgets stand tall. Once again, they cannot finish the game.
There is not a thing in the world that Koi can do if Solemn remains untouched in these fights. And as we pointed out with that build, it's so hard to kill this Vayne. The shields, the resist, the movement speed. Vayne is able to just run people down, stay super safe, even in spite of the double kill that Estrefo gets. Casting 2 ultimates in a single fight as Samira, it doesn't matter because Solemn is so damn strong.
You have to give also the amount of props to the rest of the team, waiting it out and allowing Solemn to build himself up to the moment when he is able to bring so much difference in those team fights. But we still are not ended with the game. 35 minutes, 36 now into the game. The finals are rolling and ready to go into your face, as in 1 minute and 45 seconds we're going to have the Mountain Drake, and 2 minutes and 30 seconds we're going to have the Baron. Let's see who gets what, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think, one little fun thing to notice here is that the gold lead, the gold deficit for Fidgets has pretty much evaporated in the period when we last checked it up until now. Right, fight after fight, Fidgets has just been scrapping through. Solemn has been getting stronger and stronger through the team facilitating him. And now it really feels like Fidgets, they're the ones who have to get beaten because they're pushing right into Koi's base.
There is no Baron buff though, so there's no Baron buff minions. You do not have this unstoppable army. Can you do anything without it? That's a question. Let's see how it's going to be answered as the inhibitor is now exposed and the enemy is now in your lanes, stepping into your house. But Misfits, take it very slowly. They do not want to overreact and over-aggressively go inside. The Lullaby is going to be used on Raaiinbow. Not a lot coming out of it though.
Maybe it's more of a dissuasion tool. Try to make sure that you don't force a fight with it, although it's an interesting use of it, no matter.
Cooldown is relatively short though, as a quarter of the cooldown has already been going down. At the very least, it had bought this very important time, and it seems like Ornntega actually looking for a flank maneuver here. He's going to be spotted out immediately though, thanks to a very clever ward placed out by Misfits, as they're looking to cut him off from this idea of his. No tricks will be played. Vizzy stepping forward now. Whoa! Nowhere to be seen already. Vetheø throws himself into the fight. Amazing cyclones have been used, knocking so many people off.
Ornntega in the back.
Yes, he is, but it doesn't matter. Double kill for Lissandra. Kill and a shutdown coming for Wukong, and a kill for Solemn. Mad Fidgets win the fight, not on their ground, but the ground of Koi. Amazing fighting through and through from both of the teams, as Ornntega now stands solemnly in front of the Nexus turrets, throws himself into the fight, but it's not going to be enough. Ace for Mad Fidgets. Finals win for them. Mad Fidgets are your champions of Masterthons 2022.